Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Mari Gray. I'm an assistant professor of educational leadership at CSU East Bay in California. For those of you who don't know me, fun fact, I'm a California native and fourth generation. I'm an Oakland native and a fourth generation Californian. I'm also a veteran public school teacher and former vice principal. I help start or reorganize schools across the Sacramento Valley, including several award-winning schools and programs. As a vice principal, I worked closely with school-based police officers and school resource officers, who I'll call SROs for short. Today, I want to share some information about school-based policing, which is a timely topic in an area that I've studied since 2010. From 2010 to 2014, I shadowed a school resource officer who was stationed at a school in the Pacific Northwest. And I've worked with dozens of others throughout my career in education. Because of my extensive background working with and studying school-based policing, I have long advocated for its elimination. I've done this mostly through the publication of articles, presentations at academic conferences, and teaching leadership students at my university. In my community, I've engaged in conversations with law enforcement officers and school leaders about the role of and need for SROs in schools, often to deaf ears. I want to lend my voice to the many that are advocating for abolishing and defunding policing, including school-based policing. Many students who attend public schools in California, and particularly schools that serve low-income and minoritized communities, have an SRO assigned to their campus. The students have become accustomed to the presence of police officers on school campuses and interact with them regularly. This normalization of police presence, surveillance, and policing is part of what we call a culture of policing in schooling. While we already know that the presence of an SRO can increase a Black or brown child's potential for contact with law enforcement and the likelihood that he or she will be subjected to citation, arrest, and/or transport to a juvenile justice facility, we need to also talk about the ways in which policing has infiltrated the school culture and the culture of policing and schooling. I write about one example in my forthcoming article, Police in the Classroom, with Dr. Kenya Mitchell, so please check that out when it's published. The culture of policing and penalty has infiltrated schooling. In my work, I explain that the presence of an SRO socializes students into compliance, and especially in educational contexts that emphasize rule adherence and conformity. It is common for educators to invite SROs and other law enforcement officers, or LEOs, to campus to talk to students without notifying parents about these conversations. Framed as serving educational and/or safety purposes, students can be interrogated by an SRO if he or she witnesses a violation of school rules or a crime. These students are often in the office alone with the officer and have no idea how to handle themselves nor protect their rights. Sometimes SROs are invited to counsel an individual student who is making poor choices instead of the school counselor who has studied and is licensed to do this work. Parents are not contacted about this kind of police contact either, and some students may hide it out of fear of parental repercussions. In my article with Dr. Mitchell, I describe an SRO's visit to a classroom after the murder of Michael Brown and the psychic violence he inflicts on minoritized youth who have already been subject to disparate minority contact with the same officer in their community. I could tell many more stories about the damage school-based policing inflicts on youth of color, and will, in future talks, webinars, and writings. I stand in solidarity with the many grassroots organizations that have advocated for and into policing, have proposed viable and healthy alternatives, and thank the selfless protesters who are in the streets every day. Because of health reasons, I cannot join you, but I thank you. To all of our brothers and sisters that we have lost during this fight, you have not died in vain.